This is Savannah Hernandez for Action 7 News. I am currently in Richmond, Virginia for the gun rights rally today. And as you can see behind me, there's already thousands of people here. Now, this is an open carry state, so we are seeing people exercising their Second Amendment right out here, having their right to bear arms. Now, we know that Governor Ralph Northam has come forward and said that he is going to be invoking red flag gun laws, gun confiscation. He stated that if law enforcement does not comply with these new gun rules, then there will be consequences for those actions. So we're out here today to talk to people about why they think that their Second Amendment is important, what they're out here for today, and more importantly, what they feel about Governor Northam coming forward and trying to impede on that Second Amendment. And again, too, a lot of people are saying that this is the testing ground for what they're trying to invoke nationally all across our country in terms of impeding the Second Amendment. David Hogg also came out with a live stream, and he said that it's white nationalists and Nazis here that are trying to stifle the First Amendment of other citizens. So we're going to get comments from some people here today on what they think about that as well. And the fact that the media has already labeled a lot of people here neo-Nazis and white supremacists. So let's go see who's actually on the ground here rallying for their Second Amendment right. What are you out here for today?
I'm here to support the United States Constitution and our Second Amendment rights, our First Amendment rights, all our rights. I served in the Marine Corps, and I did not serve to lose any rights.
So what did you come all the way to Virginia for today?
To protect our rights, our Second Amendment.
Why do you think it's important to stand with the citizens here in Virginia?
Without this, gun saves lives.
Gun saves lives.
Without the Second Amendment, all of our other amendments, all of our other rights are, they can be taken away too.
Well, you can't forget, about your own rights. And to be honest with you, that's what's happening. Everybody, every family across America, it's just everybody's losing touch, and we need to get that touch back.
The Second Amendment.
Yeah?
Yep.
Why do you think it's important?
Well, let's put it this way. When the Europeans came to Africa, if they were armed, would they have been enslaved? Thank you. Just answered it, didn't I?
Yeah.
You can't enslave an armed person.
You can't defend your other rights if you don't have the Second Amendment. I'm a law enforcement officer. I am familiar with guns. I own a lot of them. I've got all my children know how to shoot. I want my daughters to be empowered. And you can't protect your other rights if you don't have the Second Amendment.
If I'm there and I'm armed and concealed, I can protect myself, I can protect my family and my loved ones. So the right to protect myself is very important to me, but I'm also a competitive shooter, so I shoot on a regular basis.
Supporting our Second Amendment rights.
Why do you think it's important that Americans come out today? I know there's people from so many different states here. Why do you think it's important?
I think the Second Amendment right holds up all the other rights. If you don't have that, the rest of them will fall. And it doesn't matter what color you are or even what your politics are. The Second Amendment right is constitutional. It supersedes all that stuff.
Our rights are given by our Creator. So the Constitution puts that in writing, but they're actually God-given rights that cannot be taken away by any man. You can tear up the document, you can rewrite the document, try to. You still have God-given rights no matter what happens to that document.
So I'm asking people here today what they're rallying for, why it's important that they come out.
Rallying for our Second Amendment rights, and as well as our other rights, the Fourth Amendment, the First Amendment. They start taking these away, it's just going to be a snowball effect. So we're out here.
You won't be doing this reporting.
You won't be able to start, reporting. It's just going to go all downhill from there. So
it's really important that we take a stance for our rights, because at this point in time, if we don't do it, then we're at the possibility of losing them. So we're out here to support the fact that we're standing hard for the Second Amendment, and we're standing hard for really the entire Constitution. So we're surrounded by a lot of like-minded people, and it's arguably one of the most important things we could do. So thank you guys for being here too.
If they can take a rifle away from you, they can take a camera or a computer or anything else you got.
So what is
rights being infringed upon? They keep nibbling away at them every year, and it's more Democrat than Republican, and the policies have got to stop. I mean, they're infringing on our Second Amendment rights. I'm a member of the NRA. I'm not a member of the VCDL here, but I'm going to stand out here and protest or rally all day to make sure that they understand that the voting people are coming out from now on with their Second Amendments in their pocket, and we're going to exercise them if we have to.
We don't want a war. No one does. But they keep pushing us. And it's just crazy. You know, we know what happens in history. Mao took the guns. Pol Pot took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Look what happens in Venezuela. Look at what's happening in Hong Kong. We want to be free people. We just want to be left alone. But this governor just wants to keep pushing us down. And we're making our stand right here now in Virginia.
So Ralph Northam has come forward and said that if law enforcement does not invoke the new regulations that he's trying to put forth in the state, there will be consequences. What is your response to this comment?
Come and take them. Come and take them. We're not bending down. This is it, because if Virginia falls, the rest of the country falls, and we're not bending. We're not bending our knees.
What do you think about Ralph Northam and what he's trying to institute within your state?
I think it's terrible. I think that if a criminal is going to be a criminal, no matter what laws passed, he's going to be a criminal. So it doesn't matter what legislation you bring down the pipe, it's the intent. It's not the weapon. It's the intent of the person.
Are you a citizen of Virginia?
I'm from Williamsburg.
Williamsburg?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think about Ralph Northam's comments and all the new regulations?
Ralph Northam. Right there's what I think about him.
I don't agree with what the Democrats are doing. I mean, it's our right. I mean, how can it be right to strip away one of your rights? You know, freedom next. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
You know, he's tearing this country apart. You know, there's an old saying, leave well enough alone. You know, leave the gun laws alone, leave the people alone. You know, he's accelerating gun sales. He's accelerating memberships to gun lobbies and everything. My mother told me as a child, when something, you know, got flared up, leave well enough alone.
Are you a citizen of Virginia?
I am.
So what do you think about what Ralph Northam is trying to impose on the citizens here with red flag gun laws, with gun confiscation?
Well, definitely no gun confiscation, and hopefully we'll be able to vote him out next time we vote for governor, because this was extreme, and I think a lot of this is almost a stunt by Bloomberg to try and cause an incident to propel his presidential campaign.
I think it just starts small, and like if we allow this to keep happening, it'll progress to the point where we won't have our Second Amendment rights, and we'll be infringed when it comes to the government. So, yeah.
This is not about gun safety. This is about taking our guns. This is about gun confiscation. It's a violation of our Second Amendment right. He's thrown away the Constitution. He swore to uphold the Virginia Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. He's doing neither.
Well, I think that he's a racist. I think he's an extremist with his views on what the way he views his constituents. You know, we're not. You can see we're all being very polite, and everybody's on their best behavior. We're just normal people, and I don't think he cares too much for that.
Red flag gun laws? Well, I mean, that is just wrong on so many levels, and I don't think he's going to get anybody to enforce them.
He's going against his oath of office. Every public servant takes an oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution and what it means and what it says. And the Constitution is a restriction on government. It tells what they can do and what they should do and what they will do, and nothing more. So it's a restriction on government officials and not the people. So once they take that oath of office to the Constitution to uphold and defend it, it's really as simple as that. It does not need to be complex and tyrannical as what the government's trying to do.
The government, they have way more weaponry than we will ever have or legally allowed to own. So if they have all this military weapons above our standards, what's the problem with what I have? What I have is way underpowered compared to what they have, so how am I a threat to the government? Or if I'm a legal citizen and I go and I get background checks, I do everything I'm supposed to do, I pay my taxes, I go to work every day, I'm not out here committing crimes, I'm not out here running the streets flashing my gun at people, how am I hurting anybody? I mean, I go through every legal check that I need to, I do everything the legal way. If I'm doing everything the legal way, then obviously I'm not a citizen that's out trying to just randomly harm people. I carry a gun every day. I've never had to use my gun in a defense situation, but if I ever did have to, I have it on me. And so with that being said, if they're trying to take that right away from me, now you're taking away my right to be able to defend myself.
Why do you think it's important for every individual American to have and exercise their Second Amendment right?
Well, that's what the amendment says, against a tyrannical government. Look at what the state of Virginia is trying to do right now. This is why the Second Amendment exists, because of things like this. And it certainly, revolution is not something anybody wants, and it's not something we're proposing. We're going to take legal routes to correct this and make sure that we all have our rights.
Well, just, I guess, like I was saying before, I mean, you have the right to defend yourself. Just because they take your guns and a law-abiding citizen obeys the law doesn't mean that the bad guys are going to obey the law. You know, they'll still have guns, and if they come at you with a weapon, you don't have one to defend yourself.
I think it's definitely very important, especially for women, because it keeps us safe. I think that's fundamental when it comes to that. I feel safe, especially with guns, so yeah.
Are you a citizen?
It took 30 minutes for a cop to show up at my house the other day. When I called the cops, it took them 30 minutes to show up. 30 minutes, everybody in my house could be dead. So I'm going to carry my weapon. I will not comply.
Because you can, when you're walking down the street, you can carry a gun and protect yourself and protect your family if nobody else is, your husband's not home or your brother's not home.
I spoke to everyone on social media that I've spoken to that's coming down to this event wants a peaceful demonstration advocating for our Second Amendment. None of these people want violence. None of these people want a riot. None of these people want any type of harm to come to anyone else. We're here to protect our Second Amendment right. Just last week I was in legislature in a room full of women moms demand action. We had a civil conversation. This isn't about fighting one another. This is about protecting our rights. Every senator and the President of the United States have agreed to swear to uphold the Constitution. This is our Second Amendment to the Constitution, and they should uphold that right as well. Our forefathers put that in place so that we would not have an overreaching government. Obviously, what Ralph Northam has done is submit bills to the Senate to overreach and confiscate our guns.
Well, history repeats itself, and we see what happened with other countries where they take guns away. And that's their goal. And I think they're frustrated by the fact that they have not been able to get Americans' guns out of their hands. And so this is their action that they're trying to take over and over again. So, you know, they try to threaten the people. That's just their tactic.
All right, folks, we got to talk to many people today, and I think the message was the same all across the board. Everyone here was peaceful, they're united, and they all want to get across the same exact message, and that's that they have the right to the Second Amendment, the right to protect themselves, and the right to fight back against a tyrannical government. And that, again, is why the Second Amendment was originally in place. So this has been an extremely peaceful protest, and if you see any other news articles about that, as of now, it's 11 a.m., or actually it's about noon right now. And again, peaceful protests everywhere. Everyone has been so united together for the Second Amendment. People are saying that if we allow Ralph Northam to take away our gun rights here, that's what could happen to the rest of America, the rest of the country, which is why it's so important that we stand up here to keep that from happening everywhere else. This has been Savannah Hernandez for Action 7 News.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand?